Welcome to Season 2 of the Pull Hook Golf Podcast. Here's your hosts, Matt Cook and Bobby Brown. That wasn't even a count-in, gentlemen, so we are on. Welcome back, audience, to the Pull Hook Golf Podcast. We've got Bobby Brown as our host today, as well as a great guest. So luckily, Bobby has the inside track for bringing on some great guests that are going to be upcoming. And man, did we not slouch with the first guest that you've brought on, Bobby, with Mr. Scott McGuinness, the caddy for Mito Pereira. I mean,
man, you guys are talking me up. This is like, I feel like 10 foot tall.
Yeah, I am. Well, they've never seen you in real life, so they know it's 5'8". So
5'9". Come on.
Sorry, buddy.
Don't lose that inch, bro.
I don't even get me started on the inch. Hey, I'm super stoked to have my buddy Scottie McGuinness on. We spent some time together, probably, Scott, 15, 16 years caddying since the Corn Ferry Tour.
Yeah, 05 I came over.
Yeah, was it 05? I think that's when I started 04 or 05, and we shared some great stories. We shared some great disappointments over the year, just kind of, rolling with the tide and that kind of stuff. Caddy wise, and super pumped to have you on. But Scott, thanks for making some time for us. I know we both got the week off, and it was very cool.
It's my pleasure. I don't do podcasts, and this is all for you, Bobby.
Is this your first?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm a very closed door kind of guy. And,
yeah, I understand. I used to be that way. That'll all change in about 10 or 12 years or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe in 10 to 12 minutes.
Matt, did you know that this is my roommate next week? We're heading to the Scottish Open next week, and we have this big 5-bedroom spread. Nice. And Scott's bringing his wife. That's good. They get the big master and their own walk-in bathroom, and it's the two of us, and it's Billy Spencer, who's Sung J M's caddy. Butchie Brennan Little, who is Gary Woodland's caddy, U.S. Open champ. Who else? Chad Reynolds, who works for, speaking of champs, Cameron champ. So we should have quite the crew over there.
You've got a great crew over there. Say hi to my buddy Sean over there. Sean will be over there. He's the Scottish gentleman that I had on the show not that long ago. Right before you came on, Bobby, and took over as the co-host of the show. But with that said, say hi to him while you're over there. And it sounds like a great group of guys that you've got that are going to be... Actually, it sounds dangerous. Except, Scott, you got your wife, so I think everybody will behave, apparently. So we'll be good. Now, we're going to start off, since you don't do a lot of podcasts, Scott, we're honored to have you on the show. But we'll start off with a little bit of a softball here. What was your path like to become a caddy on the PGA Tour? Like, walk us through kind of what happened in order to get you to that point.
Yeah, I actually fell into it. Never dreamed of being a caddy or anything like that, but played golf in Australia at a pretty good level. Played with Nick Flanagan and James Nitties, and those boys were coming on over to crack it on the what was it, Nationwide Tour back then.
Were we nationwide or were we web? Nationwide Tour? Nationwide. Okay.
So came over for the Nationwide, and they were doing Mondays, so I was helping them out that way. Just if one of them got in, I'd caddy for them, and lo and behold, I think James got in first, and it was in Chattanooga actually, which is where my wife's from. So that's kind of a cool story.
Nice, nice.
So James got in, caddy for him, and Nick started getting in, caddy for him, and then I met some Aussie boys on tour who were already caddying on the Nationwide. And they're like, dude, just stay out here. Like, we'll get you a bag. So jumped on. I can't even remember who my first guy was, but I remember.
Was it Buckle? Was it Buckle?
No, it wasn't Buckle.
Gotcha.
It was an American guy, and I remember getting paid like $500 or something. Then
I was 6.
yeah, $500, and it was like 5% or something. And then I remember I caddied for the great Matt Betancourt, and we finished.
You did
third.
not.
We finished third in Canada, I think it was, and I got my 505% for third.
Oh man!
I don't know. I think I got like $2,000 or something. I thought I was the richest guy in America.
Matt, I got to butt in. Matt, I got to butt in and tell the reason why we giggle about Matt Betancourt. I don't know if you remember from a few episodes ago, but he is well, here I go. I'm going to be the one to say it. He's a legendary liar, is what he is. So we've always made fun of him. He would tell people that his family owned Silver Oak. That was a big thing for him. And what was the big, was it Yahoo or something like that? He was saying when his family started Yahoo or not GoDaddy, but it was something like that. And we were just like, oh my gosh, this guy.
I remember he got busted for the hole-in-one, the fake hole-in-one.
Did he do a fake hole-in-one?
Yeah, and there was a camera.
Reno champion though, PGA Tour winner though, right? He did have some game. There was no doubt.
He did have some game.
But that's all I'm going to say. Scott, continue on with your path, please.
Yeah, so ended up scrounging around with a few American guys. Jason Buhar was one. What a legend of a guy that guy was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was one of my first, and then Nick got on tour and hired an English caddy, and they went through about probably 6 months together, and he's like, I'm done. And he didn't really want to hire me because we were really close friends, and I used to party a bit back in those days, as Bobby well knows. But anyway,
we all did back in those days.
Yeah, he gave me a 1 week trial, and he was like, dude, you just got to stay on. I was like, yep, let's do it. And very next year we won 3 times, and I was on the tour, and that was
wow.
And been on
that
tour
really did fall in your lap, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Just
wow, I didn't even either. I have a bad memory through the years, but I didn't even know that you're one of a handful of people that went through the Triple Crown, so to speak, right? Got the Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont.
For Mito, who did the same thing, so it's a pretty cool story.
Awesome! Wow, that is awesome. I think I worked on there for about 2 years. Got maybe a couple wins, but at least I was 600 a week. So
yeah, you were bold.
Bobby had the big time pay.
Yeah, well, I'll up him here though. I got 5 wins.
Yeah. But I was telling Matt in
shots fired.
Episode, he can come back on tour and smash me there. So I'll keep going.
That's all right. I just got a head start. I've been on Cold Street for about 10 years. I don't know if anybody's noticed it. If you want a caddy that get you second, third, or fourth, I'm your guy. We don't.
Well, that was me too. Don't worry.
I don't win. I was telling I'm going to let you continue, but I was telling Matt back in the day when we first started off, it was funny. We never thought about the money, right? We were just sponges for information, want the experience and the chance to get to another level. So pick it up. So you get the 3-banger. You're on your way. Life is good. Got a couple of bucks because that's $30K right there, probably.
Absolutely. I remember having a bit of money in the bank, and I thought it was easy.
Right.
And then very next year, Nick got on tour, struggled a bit, lost his card, and basically we pretty much parted ways because he headed back to Australia to search for himself and wanted to go surfing a bit. So, good for him to change his lifestyle a bit. And so I stayed on tour. When was that? I don't even know who I caddied for after him. But stayed on tour, caddied for Ches Reevy. And then I went down to Australia and caddied for John Daly. And that was
awesome.
I saw him on the list. I knew he had to come up at some point.
I caddied a few events for JD, and he asked me to go full time, and I said yes. And then right before the first
that's a wild trip.
John Mallinger called me, and I was like,
Mally,
man, buddy. And then spent 3 years with Mally, which was amazing. I mean, he was a great player. Didn't know how to win, but geez, he made a lot of money.
Yeah, Mally was solid. Mally was solid. Mally is part of this. What we call it, the Jamie Mulligan.
SoCal
boys. Jamie Mulligan, who is exploding as a teacher. Patrick Cantlay, the Corda sisters.
Oh yeah.
He's with Molinari now. And he's with somebody else. I saw somebody
Luke
else.
List. Yeah, Luke List.
Luke List. Yeah, he's been with Luke List. So he had these young players. John Mallinger was Long Beach State. I worked for one of them, Peter Tomasulo out of Cal, who was back and forth to the tour a couple times. Johnny Merrick, who won at Riviera, so he had a nice little stable, and his stock is rising. He's also director of golf at Virginia Country Club, if I'm not mistaken, in Long Beach, and he's the most chilled, laid back SoCal surfer coach, and he was the first one actually. Scott, do you remember we used to play a nationwide event or web event at Venti Vineyards in Northern California, and he would ask me questions. He's like, hey, where's the lowest point on the golf course? And I'm like, what? Like that didn't even register, right?
I got
like
a
the
good one.
lowest point on the golf course. He's like, yeah. And he talks, how do I say it? A little bit of a list or something like he had a little bit of a list, and he taught me about topography. Okay, Bob, if the mountains are here, everything is going to be fast going this direction, and everything is going to be fast going uphill. And that really just started it all for me. So now when I get to certain golf courses, like we'll bring up Southern Hills later, it doesn't take you long to figure out, where the low point of the golf course is. I mean, I think I could figure it out at the U.S. Open too. At the country club was over there on the backside, maybe around 12 or something like that. But once again, I'm rambling. Scott, continue.
No, but it was funny. Like you got my story hit the head on the nail. He the first time I met Jamie, I said something about it all slopes that way, and he's like, "Man, you know a lot about topography." And I'm like, "Excuse me?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "I have no idea what you're talking about. It's just that's a low point over there."
Yeah, right.
The words he used just to spin me out, but yeah, he's a great guy, great teacher.
Now, Bobby does tell me, Scott, that you are a heck of a golfer as well. So is that part of what kind of brought you into caddying? I mean, tell us a little bit about your playing side.
So yeah, I mean, I won a lot as an amateur, only like 1 days and 2 days, 3 days. I never won a 4-day event, so kind of probably shows why I'm not a pro. You can't play 4 days.
You could be on the LIV Tour. LIV Tour is only 3 days. Scott.
Yeah, 54 holes now.
I'll negotiate $1 million.
Did you receive a phone call from Greg Norman on this?
I'm still waiting. But yeah, I mean, I was a good amateur, and I wouldn't say dream. I was more. Didn't really see myself as someone who would be on the PGA Tour or somewhere at that level. Like I was really good, but I didn't have the belief that I was as good as those guys. So that's pretty much why I didn't pursue the pro level too much. And I hated practicing, so got zero chance.
Just like playing, just going out and teeing it up,
like
gambling a little bit, little action.
Yeah, gambling. I'd be down at the golf course from sunrise to sunset and just play as many holes as I can, chipping comps, putting comps,
right?
Stuff. This is why I've never been a member at a golf course, by the way, because I would be there 24/7, and people would get sick of me, and they'd be like, "Sir, you have to leave. We're closing down shop."
To Greta, the club that will open you in with open arms. As long as you got $20 in your pocket.
That's true too, right there. Get in some of those Monday games as well.
Yeah.
Now, you and Bobby, you guys spent some time on the Korn Ferry Tour. I almost said mini tours. I'd say that's level B in terms of professional golf, not going down to my level, which was the mini tour level. But with that said, you guys spent quite a bit of time out there. You guys have any good stories from the nationwide/web.com, which nowadays, to bring everybody up to speed, that is the Korn Ferry Tour. It's changed names throughout the year. I think it started with the Nike Tour, and then or it was never Hooters, but it was Nike, and then kind of worked its way through a bunch of different sponsors and organizations that took it over. But what do you guys remember? And I'll kind of open this up to both of you as to is there a story that stands out from those days? I know those days can get a little bit wild because
I was gonna say, I mean, I don't really have stories, but I mean, they're probably the best years of my life.
Oh man, you're not kidding.
Absolutely.
You're not kidding. They were so. I've always told people that, and I think players are the same too, but when you're hanging out as a group of guys, and we all hung out together pretty much, and I mean, honestly, we did, Scott, I don't know if I'm speaking for you, but we did a lot of drinking back then, a lot of drinking.
We drink in the US. I mean, come on.
No kidding. Oh yeah. Here's my story. All the Aussies would steal the American women if we went out to on Friday nights or Saturday nights because they love the accent, right? Sure, we could be better looking than so and so or that kind of stuff, but
doesn't matter,
it's just like it's not fair.
It's not. It's got not the accent.
It's not a fair fight, but I think the camaraderie and you guys everybody, the players hang out together. Like this is not an Aussie joke or anything like that, but we'd all go to the Outback. That was like the big dinner for everybody. We used to have
Australian beer.
Yeah, that's what changes the most once you get to the tour. Everything changes, right? Everybody goes in their own little direction. They're on their own little teams. They got their own little posses. I think the players, yeah, totally. And the players more than the caddies, because I think the caddies stay pretty well. Not all of them, but for most of us, I think we've all had some luck before and stayed pretty grounded and appreciate it, because I think we go back to those days when we were sleeping guys on the floor, 4 in a hotel room, and we had a good group of guys we hung out with. Do you remember Creepy Rings? Do you remember Rings?
You know what? Like so when you guys sent me one of the things you're going to talk about, I remember I have pretty much one vision of Bobby, and that was, I think I needed to get a hotel or something, so I went over to Rings room.
Yeah.
And, went into Rings, and there's Bobby sitting there with a Sierra Nevada, and I was like, yeah, that's my boy.
Me likey Sierra Nevada.
It's tasty.
Absolutely.
Was that our first?
Yeah.
Well,
Bobby gives me like a 10-minute spiel on Sierra Nevada and why I should drink it.
Now it's just an also ran, right? Now it's like nothing special.
Yeah,
or
right.
anything.
Exactly.
I'd like to say I discovered it before anybody else.
Yeah.
So, Matt, I was going to talk about this Rings guy, and he was like an older caddy. I think he actually worked for Johnson Wagner out there before Pepsi Steve worked for him. But he was he was like the leader of our den or our pack. So his deal was he would spend all night searching out these hotel rooms, and he'd book so many rooms, and he'd get us great prices. And we thought, oh wow, man, this guy's the greatest guy in the world. Little did we know he was swallowing all the points at like Marriott and everything like that. And he'd take his wife out on vacation. But I will say this. I will say this about Rings. Do you remember he was the most ultimate chef, right? So we would go to like Virginia Beach and we get these big houses together, and he would cook this unbelievable meal for all of us, which we just ate junk food the whole time, and we really appreciated that until you watched him cook and his sweat's dripping into this flank steak, into the couscous. Gross. We didn't even know what couscous was back then, but
just adds to the flavor, Bobby.
Yeah, he does. I like salt. That's for sure.
I digress.
So go ahead.
Sorry, gentlemen.
Yeah. What were we talking about?
Well, I have no idea now. I'm thinking of somebody sweating into a freaking flank steak.
Once again, Bobby takes it to a new level.
Your first PGA Tour win. Let's go there. So Matt Jones in Houston. What was that experience like? I mean, how close had you been previously to that? Like, was that kind of the first big moment where you're like, holy crap, we might win this thing?
So here's the story on that. When I started with Matty, I think we finished I think it was 5th and 7th in the 2 events. One was Memorial and one was something else. And then leading up to Houston, he'd be knocking on the door, and this is such a story. It's just blows me away every time I think about it. Mallinger, who was hurt, and because he was hurt, I went to Matty Jones. Jumped on Matty's bag while it was one of first Mally's weeks back, and he comes up to me in the parking lot and he's like, will you just hurry up and win one? And I was like, yeah, it's gonna happen. And then lo and behold, that week,
wow, he threw it out there.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow, that is awesome.
That really is. Now, after Matt wins the tournament, do you leave Matt and go back, or what happens there?
No, so Mally pretty much knew that we were done for that. Yeah, we won that tournament, hopped on a plane to Augusta, and it was just like a blur.
Is that your first time at Augusta?
That was my first time at Augusta, and I tell you, it was a blur. Monday came, it was washed out. Next thing I knew, it was Saturday night, and I was flying home. I was like, oh, what happened? I was probably still drunk. I
was about to say, with all the parties that go down in Augusta, I mean, my God, can you get yourself into some trouble down there, especially if you miss the cut? Absolutely. I mean, I still remember it. Not to take us and sidetrack us here, but I still remember an event down there where Padraig didn't make the cut on Friday, and Scott Van Pelt was supposed to be the host for this event. And sure enough, Scott was running late because he was doing the broadcast. So the same agent was like, hey, Padraig, would you mind swinging over to this party and being the entertainment? So Padraig comes over. I'm thinking that he's drinking these big, huge goblets of red wine. No, the bartender tells me, no, that's Macallan 18. And he's going through 2 of those. Oh, man, did that night become a whole lot of fun.
That's amazing.
But yeah, those can get quite interesting. Were you ready for the undulations out there? I mean, everybody talks about it, right?
No.
That you never really understand until you're out there on the grounds.
When I stood on 10T and saw how much it went down, I was like, this is crazy. And then I realized that it's got to come back up. So I was like, well, I got to walk up that friggin' hill.
That's a valid point.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of undulations. It's a beast.
So you went from oh, go ahead, Bobby. I'm sorry.
I was going to ask him, what do you think is the toughest walk at Augusta uphill?
Good question.
The toughest one?
Yeah. Do you think it's one?
Hole?
No, not the toughest hole, but just the biggest pitch going uphill that people can't see on TV. I always thought one.
One's pretty high.
Yeah.
And 18's pretty big too, mate. I mean, that's
yeah, that is a big boy walk.
18 go down, and then you're going all the way up. I mean, you're almost.
And then you're tired already. You know, you're pretty tired already coming to 18. That's for sure. Never get too tired when they're playing good, though, right? Never.
Absolutely.
Yeah, keep it in stride.
Or at least you don't show it.
Yeah, never.
Yeah. That's what we're good at. We're good at hiding.
That's the talent.
We are very good at hiding stuff.
You guys, I'm just looking at both of you and I'm like, man, both of your demeanors, I would love just to play a round of golf with you guys to where I'm like, it's so good.
We actually played once. This is kind of before I really knew. I was just kind of a chop, you know, and I never really knew how to play golf until I started working and living with Dustin. And then you just kind of pick up on certain things and play your own game. But we used to have this big caddy tournament on the nationwide tour, and I forget who I was.
Omaha.
Well, it was Omaha, which was kind of a major tournament for us back then, and more reasons than one. Big nightlife there, a lot of women rolling around, believe it or not.
I've been to Omaha. Great state.
Yeah, it's great. And we had this tournament, and you were paired with Lewis Puller, who was a famous caddy for Jason Gore, who also got the 3-banger with Jason Gore, I think, one year too. And I'll never forget, we watched Scottie make a couple swings, and we're like, God, this guy is fucking good, right? And then of course he had Lewis as his partner, which I'm pretty sure never played golf in his life. So I think you guys did pretty good. Oh my God, I had Pepsi Steve as my partner, and he's melting down out there, beating up trees.
Who's Pepsi Steve? You guys. For the audience.
Well, he works for Rich Wierenski now, but he was Keegan's caddy forever, and he's the one who got into the issue with Miguel Angel Jimenez.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
He's one of our good friends.
Wow. Ryder Cup.
Yeah, it was the Ryder Cup.
At up there in Harding Park.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
He was waving the flag? Wasn't it? Yeah. Is that where he did that?
No, I think this was a regular tournament that he got into the beef with Miguel.
Oh, there was 2 incidents, weren't there? Because there was with
one
Miguel.
Was at Harding Park.
Well, there was with Miguel Angel Jimenez and his caddy, and then there was another one, wasn't there? Or am I delusional right now?
I think the other one was the one where he's waving the flag.
Yeah.
The one with Miguel was at the Harding Park, I'm pretty sure.
Was the match? Yeah, you're right. It was the match play where Keegan was trying to get a ruling or a drop or something like that, and Miguel came over and tried to act like an official. And him and Steve really got into it. It was like going to be fisticuffs, and I think Keegan had to push Pepsi away. He's like, "Hey, I'll take care of this." And then Keegan went Yahtzee on Jimenez. Google it up later, folks. It's a good one. But Steve's been around for a long time. We call him Pepsi Steve for a reason, because you know what he does before every round? This is no joke. He goes and walks the golf course and he plants Pepsis, 4 or 5 Pepsis around the golf course every 3 or 4 holes, because he refuses. Yeah. No, true story. He refuses to drink water. As a matter of fact, I think his quote is, "If I ever drank water, I'd go into cardiac arrest."
How does nobody mess with him? Like, if you're out earlier than he is and you start finding these Pepsis.
Well, actually, quite the contrary. He's been known to mess with you when you get paired with you, because when you're not looking, he'll take 2 or 3 Pepsi cans, put them in the belly of your bag, and then he'll wait 6 holes and go, "Hey, I'm super thirsty," and he'll walk over and open the belly of your bag, and the shit rolls out, and you're like, "I thought that fucking weighed more."
He wouldn't get that past me. Let me tell you, I know every single pound or ounce of that bag.
Matt, I got to share a crazy story, but it's not LIV Golf, but Norman's Shark Shootout down in Naples, everybody started knocking off this deal of Pepsi's about stashing water bottles and stuff, or Pepsi's in the bag. So I was caddying for Dustin. Our partner was Poulter. We ended up winning it. We won it one year. The next year they decided to go back and play. And of course, Brendan Steele and Keegan Bradley are best friends, like inseparable, right? Like totally inseparable. So we got to the first tee, and I had spent some time. I had not worked for Brendan Steele yet. I can't really remember. I spent
Bobby
2 years.
Bizzle.
Yeah, Bobby Bizzle. Yeah. So he calls me Bobby Bizzle. But Steely has this voice that's like, oh my God, Bobby Bizzle.
I had to bring that
when
up.
he like misagrees, and Scott messes with me every morning. I see him, he's like Bobby Bizzle, and so I have to call. I don't call anybody by their names. I'll give everybody nicknames. So he's S Mac, but Steely would be like, if he's having a bad hole or something like that, he's like, Bobby, help, Bobby Bizzle, help. And you're like, just slow down. And then if he misses a green, Scott's got paired with us before, and he's like, Bobby Bizzle, what do you like, open face or square face? And I'm like, what? I fucking throw everything to the hole. You're Brendan Steele. I'd be life and death to crack fucking 90 out here. Figure it out. But let me get back to my story.
Sorry.
That's okay. At the shark shootout. So we get to the tee, and Ian Poulter goes, we are going to fuck with Mick, his caddy, and Brendan Steele, and see how many water bottles and or Pepsis we can get in the bag. So the very first hole, we got 3 in, right? And this fucking continues to where we get 11 of them in the belly of the bag. Cokes, Pepsis, Gatorades, waters. Keegan and Steely are not playing very well at all. We can't believe that Mick has not felt the weight of this thing, right? We're laughing in between shots. Everybody's like, what are you laughing at? Oh, no, we're just happy to be here. Free money, 50 grand, dead last. Don't worry about it. We get to the 10th tee. Steely's melting down. He's like, Mick, I need food. Mick, I need food. It's the belly of the bag. So Steely goes, fuck it. I'll get it. He opens the belly of the bag, and 11 of these motherfuckers roll out right onto the fucking tee box. And he goes, oh, if this just is so cute. So, we didn't fuck with him anymore.
Voice.
11 of them. Oh my God, Bobby Bizzle. I got to give Steely a shout out. He is a fucking player. He'll never listen to this. He had his own podcast with the guy from Lincoln Park, the bass player from Lincoln Park.
Oh, there you go.
What it's called. But we're gonna pass him in followers after tonight for sure.
There you go.
100%.
I love it.
I lost track now.
It's okay. It's our
story. No, it's finished.
Oh, Pepsi Steve. Yeah. Pepsi. That was my story.
That's Pepsi.
Yeah, no, that's Pepsi Steve.
Pepsi.
I'm glad we got the full context behind Pepsi Steve, because I'm sitting there going, there's got to be a story behind this entire Pepsi Steve deal. Now, getting back to you, Scottie, what was it like to all of a sudden have that success with Matt Jones on tour? All of a sudden you're at Augusta, and then you end up having to head back down to the Korn Ferry Tour. Was that kind of like a humbling moment, or what was that like?
Well, it was quite a few years later. So I caddied for other people in between then. I think it was 2019. I was caddying for Bobby. You set me up with one of the Koreans.
Oh boy, don't hold that against me.
Wee Kim.
Oh yes, I did set you up with Wee Kim.
So I did 2 weeks for Wee Kim, right? And
how'd that go?
It was great. I think I made his first cut out of 20 missed cuts or something, so I did good.
Gotcha. Did he have the dad? He had the dad with him the whole time too.
You know what? We went to Puerto Rico and the dad didn't
smoking the grits.
First time ever.
Really?
Oh, see, that's how you got him to make a cut.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, so caddy for him, and then I caddied for him the next week at the Honda, and that was going to be my last week. I was only doing 2 weeks for him, and I didn't have anything after that. And Jason Howes, the TaylorMade came up to me. He's like, I put you in for the Scottie Scheffler job. And I was like, okay, thanks. I was like,
do not tell me that you fell into the Scottie Scheffler just like by happenstance by a TaylorMade rep.
So anyway, he said that. Next week I went home and played golf with my buddy. And he's like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, you know what? I don't know. I'm like, someone said I was in line for the Scheffler job or something. And my buddy's like, I know his agent. I'm like, no way. So we give him a call, and Blake was like, yeah, we've heard your name a few times. We'll think about it. And a day or two later, come back, and Scotty gave me a call, said, you want to come down to Korn Ferry and give it a go? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. That's how that's
Wow.
Now, when you go down and you see Scottie Scheffler, and you see those dancing feet, like Tony Danza in an Elton John song, like what goes through your head there? Like, are you like, man, this guy is good, or are you like,
no,
this is never going to work?
I wind it back. I'd already seen him play. I was caddying for Kyle Thompson at Reno, and we were paired with Scottie because it was one of his first invites or
exemptions
as a pro. And so I got to see him in action in the first 2 days, and I was like, this guy's pretty good. So when it came available, I was like, yeah. I said to my wife, I'm like, look, there's gonna be a sacrifice, might be struggling for the year, financially and stuff like that, and we just stick it out and see what happens.
How'd she take that?
You know what? She was a star. She was like,
that's awesome.
She was like, go do it. I'll support you anyway, and she was a rock star, and lo and behold, I probably made more money that year than I did the previous 2, so it worked out pretty good.
Awesome.
That's so cool. And by the way, shout out to your wife, because not every woman does that. No. If all of a sudden you're like, honey, I'm going to have a pay cut, she's like, I think I found somebody better than you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So cheers to her. Shout out to her. And then with Scottie, so you kind of saw ahead of time that he was a really solid player. Did you know he was going to be as good as he is?
No, I mean, I knew only from what I saw those 2 rounds at Reno. I knew nothing about him. I'm not one of those guys who like knows all the college stars and stuff like that. I didn't know he won the junior. What is it? Junior?
AJGA or US Junior? US Junior?
Yeah, US Junior. He won that.
Most importantly, you didn't know that he, at 19 years old in the 2016 US Open at Oakmont, was, I think he's a freshman or sophomore, led after the morning wave.
Yeah, no idea. Absolutely
Scott.
No idea.
Scott. And how much, and what do you guys make together? Like 12, 13, 14, 15 million? Is there a number there?
I think it was about 10.
Well, I was
10 or 12 or something like that. Still waiting for my bonus.
No, that's fantastic.
The bonus will come one day, I think.
Was there?
I gotta do this.
Yeah. Was there ever a point? Was there ever a point, whether it was the Korn Ferry Tour or your rookie year on tour, where you're like, man, there's something special about this guy? Because let's face it, some of them, Scott, we've been around for a long time. They got that it factor, right? They're guys, and obviously he certainly qualifies for that, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was the whole time on the Korn Ferry. I mean, he ended up 50% of his tournaments he was in the top 10. So I mean, it's pretty easy to work out.
Yeah. Right.
The math works out on that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So tell us about how many times you guys win on the Korn Ferry Tour?
Just twice.
Oh, just twice in 1 year, though, right?
1 year. We won. So we won in the regular season. We lost. We should have won the 3 kind of easy, but we didn't. So we won one in the middle of the year, and then we won in the playoffs. So we ended up number 1 on the season overall, and then number 1 after the playoffs as well. So we stole both.
Right. Wow, that's impressive. That doesn't happen very often. I don't think, does it?
No.
Yeah, that doesn't happen very often. So, let's talk about his rookie. How about his rookie year? Did he come out of the gates flying right off the bat, make some cuts?
Absolutely. I mean, finished 5th in the FedEx and rookie of the year. I mean, that's pretty.
Yeah. Now, was that when I came in for Sungjae at Atlanta? Was it that year? In Atlanta would have been 2000.
I would probably say yes.
Yeah, 2020. I'm gonna say it was.
Because 19 we did.
Yeah, I got the.
I did 19 on Korn Ferry, 20, and then 21. 21 we finished 20th or something.
Matt, we got this little funny story that me and Scottie used to laugh about quite a bit when I was working for Sungjae. I told you he's a handful to work for. Scottie will probably tell you he's probably one of the top 3 toughest bags to work for out there. Sungjae, would you think, Scottie?
Yeah, he's tough.
Yeah, he's brute.
From what perspective, though? Because Bobby, you did elaborate a little bit.
He's a dick.
He's just tough, huh?
Yeah, but
where would you rank Jerry? Good old Bubba.
Who Bubba?
Yeah.
I don't know. Jerry's Bubba's just.
Stop,
yeah.
No.
Well, we know who the big kahuna is then. Sorry, Sungjae, you finished second again.
Sungjae, you're in the top 3 though, bud.
You want to end this podcast right now? Mention that name.
He's got to be He's got to be right up there. But I'm going to share this.
Here's a funny story for you, straight up. Like, so we were paired with him at New Orleans, right? And James, I can't think of his last name. Palmer's caddy. What's his James?
James Edmondson.
James Edmondson goes to me. All right, I got a challenge for you this week. Tell me how many times that guy asked you a personal question. Well, we were together for 6 days. The count was
zero. Yeah, zero. People person.
That's what
people person he is. Yeah, genuine, very, very genuine. Matt, I was going to get into the story when at Atlanta, and I'm trying to think what
number
day
11.
I can't forget that. But I can't remember what day it was. I think it was Sunday. It was Sunday, actually. It was the last day. It was Sunday because you guys played great. You shot 65 or 66 and finished maybe third or fourth or something like that. Ran by
second.
Oh, pardon me. What's that day in Atlanta?
Only Xander. I think Xander beat us. That was the only one.
Yeah, that pay's huge.
Yes.
Huge. Yeah, massive, huge. So Sungjae didn't play great Thursday. On Friday, he went Yahtzee, shot 64. Gets in the final group with Dustin on Saturday, right? And I'm like, fuck, this is it. We're going to put an ass whooping on Dustin. Yeah, I got it backwards. Dustin put an ass whooping on Sungjae. But Sungjae had such a shitty day that day, and he was all over me, just berating me. Oh, you so bad, caddy. The win wrong. Bad club.
No bad caddy.
Oh, so we turned on number 10. Number 10 is a par 4 that used to be number 1. And our mutual friend who I got the Sungjae bag originally, this guy named Brian Branish, who was the mini tour guy that I was telling you from Arizona, who actually played on tour for a year. He's now working for Siwoo Kim and another Shiba. And Shiba means fuck in Korean, Matt, if you didn't know.
I did not know. So you're
so
educating me.
So this famous 10th hole, I'm going to tell you that Vranish worked for him his rookie year, made all kinds of money, right? Probably made $300 or $400 with the guy. And he calls me for the tour championship before one of the days. He goes, I'm fucking quitting. I'm quitting this kid. I go, Brian, you've been on the fucking LPGA tour with Bronte Law. You are life and death to make $70,000. Don't fuck this up. He cannot be that bad for that amount of money. He goes, bro, you have no idea the shit he pulls out there. And he goes, let me tell you this story. We're on number 10 at fucking Atlanta, and it's a raised green. You can't really see where it lands, and it's a back pin or something like that. And so Sungjae hits this shot. He's having a shitty day, and there's no claps or anything like that. So he assumes it's a shitty shot, right? So he goes to Brian. He turns to Brian, and he goes, where'd that ball? And Brian's like, I don't know. Oh, you tall American, 6'5". You see that? Where'd that ball? He goes, fuck, I don't know. It's got to be, would this ball pin high or no? He goes, I don't fucking know. So when they get up there and he's short, he's got like 40 feet short or something like that, which you don't really squeeze it back to that pin back there on number 10 unless it's by accident, right? So Brian says he gets up to the green, he's cleaning the ball, and the fucking kid pushes him, right? Like really? Pushes him. Oh yeah, he did it to me numerous times. He gives this little, I felt it a couple times. He gives you this little elbow jab. He's like, you're so bad, caddy. Maybe this your last week. Fired. Dad agree. Done.
Brian.
So it's true. These are all true stories. So Brian goes, I go, what did you do? He really does this? I go, what did you do? He goes, I walked right up to him in front of all those people. I go, you ever fucking lay a hand on me, you little fat fucking, I'm going to drop you right here on the spot. So they finished the Sunday round, and he quits. And Brian fucking quits, you know?
Good
and then
for
he brings
him.
in a couple other guys. Yeah, so I got the gist of that. I got off path. So we're playing with them on Sunday. We don't play any good on the front. They're rolling on the front. You know, we get to 11, which is pretty good par 3, you know, and I think it was a back pin or something like that. And it was kind of one of those, Scottie will tell you, it was one of those wins that was probably helping, and it could be a little bit this way and it could be a little bit that way. So my guy hits a pole into the left bunker, right? And he fucking starts on me like I've never had a play. You fucking caddy, wind always wrong, just wind off the right. And it's just a hard pull. You know, so he's just going on and on. Both Scotties are fucking laughing. They're like getting fucking sheer entertainment out of this, right? So he makes bogey. So now I'm crucified, right? The bogey was my fault, not the shitty bunker shot or the shitty 6-footer that he missed. So we get to 12, right?
Hang on, before you go.
What?
I've got to clean that story up.
Yes.
Right? Oh, okay.
Please do, Scottie.
I gotta clean that story up. So he didn't go at you all the way down there. The funny thing was, like, there was hardly any wind, right? But it was definitely left to right?
Yes.
So Sungjae hits this hook, and Scottie and I both know he hit a hook. So they walk down to the green. They get up to the green, and Sungjae stands on the front of the green and looks at Bobby and goes, "Bobby, wind," as in right to left. Bobby, wind. And we lost it. Scotty and I just lost it. We're like, dude, that wind is that way, and you pull hooked it. It's like, no chance he missed that.
Well, you didn't have to clean that story up because you silently didn't hear him, which is his expertise going at me there. But let's go to.
Well, and you dropped the pull hook in there. I fucking love it.
Absolutely, pull hook.
Yeah.
There you go.
Man, I'm thinking about just whacking the Titleist lid next year and wearing the pull hook golf shirt. But that happened. Now that I think about it, I'm like, do I really want to be at a tour event and have my fucking player look at pull hook the whole time?
No, but you're so tall, Bobby, that they'll never see you. It's the people you're playing against that are going to look at it and constantly be going, God damn it, why is he wearing a pull hook hat?
Okay, let me continue on, and I'm going to give Scotty his day in the sun again. So we get to 12, right? And Scheffler stuffs one in there like he was doing all day to like 6 feet. My guy, we use adjusted numbers out there, right? They're right there in our book, 3 yards up, 4 yards up. Do you remember this one? No, we didn't hit it in the rough. No, we didn't hit it in the rough. We didn't hit it in the rough. We drove it in the fairway, and then he hits it. He's posing on this shot, and he's got like 30 feet coming back, right? So now, Sungjae, I'm sorry. Now this little fucker is on me because he's like, how much uphill? I go, it was 4. I go, I show him the book. I go 4. He goes, this book wrong. You wrong. I never 30 feet, but 115.
The voice.
This swing memorized. I Sungjae him, never wrong. And it's like, fucking
Scotty, I'm with you. Just the accents that Bobby comes up with absolutely kills me. You do.
Sungjae's like the quietest guy ever. It just cracks me up.
Well, it's true. You never hear this because I laugh all the time, and I've said this before on TV, and they're like, oh, and I'm going to say they say it about Scheffler too, but it's probably a little different story. They're so calm under pressure. Nothing phases them. They're so cool.
I think say he's an assassin too.
What, he is? Well, I mean, I'm going to take the story a little further. So anyways, I had a shitty day. They had a great day. And let's fast forward to Tampa the next year, because Scotty, we would, every time I would walk by, they would just start like making fun of me. How'd it go with Sunday today? Bobby,
yeah,
that's all he said.
Scotty, I can't imagine you let Bobby ever live that one down.
Every time I saw him, Bobby win. Bobby win.
Well, it's funny, we got to Tampa.
Bobby wind.
Win. Yeah, make up your mind. Is it left or right, or is it
and
right
that's how you ended up with DJ too, Bobby. Was actually because you're a wind expert. You had the compass out and everything. How can Sungjae challenge you on the wind?
No, it just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. Not you.
I'm going to make more. My best shit's coming in the book. I've said it before. It's coming in the book.
I'll read that.
So we go to Tampa, and they're making fun. Oh, Bobby win. So me and him are standing on the putting green by ourselves. I go, Scott, I got to ask you a question. He goes, sure. I go, is Scotty that cool to work for? I mean, does he ever get on you and everything like that? And Scotty just gives me this glazed look, like he would not fucking answer, And I'm like, okay, he must be that cool to work for, or he's really fucking acting really good right now. So the next day, they didn't have a very good day that day. And the next day, we're standing on the putting green again. Scott, do you remember this guy? You come up to me, you go, if you ever fucking ask me again, if my man is easy to work for, I will tell you stories. And I never asked him again. After this.
So Scotty, what was it like to work for Scottie Scheffler?
Yeah, tell us.
Amazing.
Yeah, big money, right?
I made great money.
Yeah, for everything that comes to an end, Scott. Though I think after you weigh everything and that kind of stuff, being in that situation with that kind of a big time player, and I've said this before, it really puts you back on the map as a caddy.
Yeah, absolutely. And he also taught me a lot about how the new generation plays golf, what to expect. I mean, right. I'm very grateful for those 3 years.
Good.
He as you said, he put me back on the map. Absolutely.
Right.
And I learned a lot. And I'm not going to tell you what I learned, because I mean, that's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, right. Well, maybe when we cut the tapes and everything like that.
Yeah, maybe afterwards.
There you go.
Yeah, it can't be printed. So how long? Man, $10 million, 3 years.
I think it was something like that, but no point asking him, because apparently he doesn't know how much he earns.
He doesn't. Bullshit.
Yeah, somebody's doing the accounting.
Bullshit.
I
Bullshit.
don't know. We had three good financial years. I honestly don't like. I know what I earned.
What a great conservative answer you just get.
That was great. I mean, you should be a goddamn politician here, Scottie. This is fantastic.
I'd be rich if I was.
Okay, can I just ask you an honest question? Honest question. You don't have to answer if you don't want. Would you consider him a tough bag? Is he a tough bag?
Absolutely.
Okay, gotcha.
He might be way different now, but yeah.
During
I don't think so. Because just seeing the U.S. Open.
But that's I think that comes with being so highly competitive.
Could be what makes him so good too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
But I think that's one of the reasons, and I'll let you in on a big one here that I haven't really told anyone.
Oh, I've been waiting for this.
That's probably why I didn't keep my job, because I started caddying scared. I was too worried about what was going to happen rather than just caddying. And
right.
I mean, it was stressful. I didn't want. I was done with it. Like it was mentally draining. So.
Man, I went through the same. Through the same thing with Sung Jae too. You're second guessing everything before it even is presented to you, because you're worried about the repercussions or what shit you might catch.
I was worried about getting yelled at or being wrong.
That's part of the negativity, though, right? Of like a guy like Sanjay, to where it's like you're constantly being criticized. So it just continually builds and builds and builds to where you eventually get to that point to where you're like, man, let me not screw up. You're not thinking about
I was making mistakes
doing things right
because I was too scared,
Well, can I say this, Matt? It kills your fucking confidence.
Oh, it absolutely does.
And you might as well have, and I've said this before in the past, when you start killing your caddy's confidence, you got nothing next to you. You might as well have a fucking 8-year-old. No disrespect to 8-year-olds, but you might as well have an 8-year-old carrying your bag for you, really, right, Scottie?
Yeah. I mean, he would always say, look, it doesn't matter if you're wrong. It doesn't matter if you're wrong. But I'm like, well, clearly it does, because I mean, like,
yeah,
absolutely.
And of course, the player never thinks they're wrong, so that is always a great thing.
I'll give it to him as well. Like he would, if he didn't hit it right, he'd be like, "No, I missed it, mate." You know what I mean? He was spot on, and he's actually that good with his eyes and stuff. He knows exactly.
Yeah, I think Sungjae's like that too. Yeah. Honestly, I look at it a couple years later, and the dust is settled. I think they're so good. They know exactly when a mistake is made.
I told someone the other day, I said there was so much pressure about getting it right, because he knew exactly to the yard how he hit it.
So the top players do.
Yeah. He messed up, like he knew.
Matt,
we're talking like a couple of yards. We're not talking like.
No, I mean, some guys can get it down to where they'll call it out and they'll be on the launch monitor. I've seen this in person, to where they'll call it out. Sure. They're like, that's 156.
Sure.
And sure enough, it's like 156.5. And you're like, holy, and they'll do that for 30 shots in a row. And you're just like, wow, that's impressive.
I want to clarify something for the people that don't know that there are, how do I say this? Scottie was in on everything. Hey, I worked with some of the best caddies in the world. Okay. That guy sitting right there is probably one of the best greens readers that I've ever been paired with. And it's so funny as a caddy, when you have a player that reads his own greens, like Sungjae or some of the other players I've had in the past, where you're just kind of sitting there and you're looking at the dot for the next day and you're doing your little thing while the other guy's in. I got to tell you, Scottie Mac is about as good as it gets when it comes to something like that. It's almost fun to watch as another caddy. You're like, oh fuck, this guy reads greens good, and you'll tell them that if they're your friend walking off the green or something like that. My whole point is Scottie talking about, losing confidence, or what I say, getting on your heels out there or something like that. You have to remember, everybody out there, Scott McGuinness is not just in there on wind and pulling clubs and discussing shots. Imagine the pressure. Every fucking putt, they look out together, right? And they decide together. And, I'm going to say,
it was even more than that, Bobby. Like,
tell me.
I got to a point where it was, okay, where am I hitting it? What club am I hitting? Then what's the lie doing? What's this lie going to do? Is it going to jump? Is it going to come? Then if we're around the greens, he's like, he was, what's the lie like? Is it coming out hard? It's coming out soft? Do I need to run it? Do I need to lob it? So I was doing all that as well. I mean, and then lining up every putt.
And that's
that becomes a lot.
And to me, the way I interpret that, that's like the ultimate compliment for you, Scott,
No,
that he trusts you,
absolutely.
that he trusts you that much to be so involved. So I guess where I'm going with this, because I'm gonna go forward and then I'm gonna back up a little bit, Scott. When how do I want to phrase this? Well, maybe I'll just back up first. Was there a time? Man, do we need to throw in the Deutsche Bank thing, Matt? Remember the Deutsche Bank on the par 5?
I thought that's where you were going to go right now.
Okay, where I'm going to go with that is, folks, I don't know if you know at home, but we were playing a playoff at TPC Boston. And number 7, if you hit it in the shit, there's a bunch of cross bunkers. You got to lay up short, and it's elevated green. You can't see. Am I saying this right, Scotty? Did you lay up short of those cross bunkers?
Oh,
when you broke your wheel,
that was number 9. Number 9.
Oh, that was number 9.
Yeah, you know how number 9 green sits down a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I jumped up to see because the pin was on the front.
Right.
I jumped up to see if I could see if it had spun back or not.
I thought it was 7 on the par 5. You were trying to jump up where the ball was, and tell us.
You can YouTube it. Right? It's all over YouTube.
Oh no!
Yeah.
I've never seen it, like so I'm not.
If you Google my name, that's all that comes.
Well,
up.
see,
Scheffler's
Caddie
gets parted off.
The YouTube thing, because I got a 9 and a 5-year-old that got a YouTube problem, so they're all suspended.
Oh, there you go.
No YouTube. I got to put it on this little baby right here. And they go, what are you watching?
And that was number 9 on a Sunday, going into the back 9 where we had a chance. So no, we didn't have a chance. DJ was like 20 in front.
Right. Oh yeah, DJ won Yahtzee that year. Did you finish? You didn't finish the round, did you?
Done.
What was the diagnosis? What was it?
So I tore a little bit of my calf.
Wow.
Whoa, the calf.
Yeah.
Wow.
But when I jumped up, I heard a pop, and I came back down, and I couldn't put any pressure on it, so I knew it was something bad. And then the whatever they're called, EMS, whatever those guys come out. And
yes.
Like, oh, it's just heat. It was really hot that day. Like you got a heat strain or something like that. I'm like, dude, okay.
I know.
Well, I want to set the record straight here because in all of these articles, and I saw more than one, there was probably about at least 15 to 20 articles by these golf outlets, Golf Monthly, and so forth, that said that was the beginning to the end. Do you feel like it was the beginning of the end, or did you sense?
No.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Like you caddied for another year, right?
Still on great terms, yeah.
Yeah, typical media though, really, Matt.
They try to tie a story, and it's like, just get the real story. Like
negativity.
Yeah. Well, negativity sells a lot of times, which is why a lot of polarizing things, and we'll get to that in a little bit around the LIV Tour and everything going on there.
I got one more question.
Yeah, shoot.
I got one more question, Scott. Pretty straight up question here. You don't have to answer it or not, but I've been in this situation before when you know it's coming to an end as a player. Did you start getting those feelings at all? You used to get it all the time.
No, yeah, I knew for a long time.
Yeah, gotcha.
Probably into our first year on tour, we were different people. I mean, I'd caddy,
right,
but we were total opposites. So I knew it wasn't going to be something that was
for 10 years.
Yeah.
I got
that. I was hoping it would be. Trust me.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And then it was funny. Like, here you go. I'll let you in again. During that tournament in New Orleans.
Yeah.
With Baba, obviously Teddy was caddying there, and he kept telling me, he's like, "Oh man, come on, like, I want you to caddy like that. Like, see how he says that to Bubba?"
Oh boy.
And then I was like, "Oh yeah, good." And from that moment on, I pretty much said to all my buddies, I'm like, "That guy's gonna replace me."
No way.
Yeah, absolutely. You can ask anyone. I told a lot of people that.
I didn't know that. Wow, Scottie McGuinness coming with the straight shit for us, man.
I can read people really well.
And that's a great read. That is a great read.
I can read people really well.
Right. I got you.
As soon as you start making comments like that. And how long after that was it until the full?
I guess that was like mid-year, and it didn't happen until you started the next season in the fall.
Wow, you are good at reading people. Look at that.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you
I
get
think,
this
I think I told Jimmy
sense.
Johnson, you can ask Jimmy. I was like, Jimmy, that guy's going to replace me.
Not only are
Wow.
you good at reading greens there, Scotty, but you are
Yeah.
great at reading people.
I can read people. Like, that's probably my best
Yeah.
trait. I'm good at
Hey,
reading.
I wanted to let everybody know because I'm sure Scotty will agree. Sometimes, no matter how good of a caddy you are and what kind of success you have for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, when a new caddy comes into a player, and it's vice versa too. It's vice versa when they get somebody new to talk to, change of face, different stories, just a different body. They seem to perk up. And I guess where I'm going with this is, nobody knows more than me. When Dustin and I split, and he hired his brother, all of a sudden Austin was a better caddy than me, so to speak. And I got, and you get butchered. I get butchered for Whistling Straits. I got butchered for the Tea Time in Riviera. Guilty on that one. I'll take the heat on that one for sure. There's no other two ways.
No, we cleared the record on that one.
Clearly, everybody
Bobby
says it's the player's responsibility, but when
he doesn't get. I guess he doesn't get the text either, does he?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he did actually. He did actually. That's how I stayed employed for a little bit longer after that. So, and then all of a sudden that player that you lose starts winning and that kind of stuff. And I fucking gone on record letting people know what a fucking good caddy Scott McGuinness was and is, not was, and that kind of stuff. And I just thought it was bullshit that Teddy was getting all the accolades with it. And the reason why I say that is because I told you, Matt, we got paired with Scotty and Teddy at Sea Island when they were kind of feeling each other out. And there was nothing fucking special there. A solid T43 or a solid T46. They couldn't get on the same page with clubs and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I remember walking down a fairway with Troy, and I'm like, this guy ain't got fucking shit on Scottie McGuinness. And then all of a sudden he gets pot, starts playing the best golf in his life. The media fucking picks up the fumble, right, Scott? They start running with all the bullshit, everything a caddy, even though older caddies' bones that I've been around and those kind of stuff, they're like, don't read that stuff. But human nature, you do read that stuff, you do hear about it and that kind of stuff. So I want to say at Tampa this year, well, actually, I called you about maybe a Korean to when I called you and you're like, Bobby, I'm good. My finances good. I'm going to take a little I'm going to take I don't remember. Maybe it was SY No or something like that. One of my Korean posse members. And I'm like, hey, Scott, you ready to come back? No, I'm good financially. I need to get this out of my system.
Clear my headspace.
Yeah, that's exactly what you said. Clear my head. And then I think you showed up at Tampa this year with another psychopath, Matt Wallace. Great guy, but a little cuckoo. Don't have to say it, but all the caddies know. And then
he was good with me. He's fine.
He was. Oh, 1 week honeymoon, right, Scott? 1 week honeymoon. They're always good on that honeymoon, right?
But that's when I'm sure you're leading into Mito. That's when.
Yes, we'd love to hear that.
So
that's the point of the show.
That Monday at Tampa, Gary Matthews, caddies for Waco, he called me, said, hey, an agent's going to call you about Mito. And I'm like, dude, I'm on the course right now. Matt Wallace is right next to me. I'm kidding me. He's like, oh, no problem. I'm like, all right. So the next day I go into the caddy lounge and my good friend Shay Knight from Australia, he said, hey, I think I got something for you. I'm like, oh, really? He goes, this Mito's looking for a caddy. Let me call Chris Castleberry right now. So he called Chris and, gave him all the spiel on me. And Chris was like, oh, good. We'll get in contact. And then I did. So I went home that next week. Matty asked me to go full time. I said, hey, look, I've got to wait for this guy to get back to me because I want to explore this option. And sure enough, we did a conference call, which is just so bizarre to me. Like, I'm so old school.
Was it like a Zoom call?
No, it wasn't Zoom. It was just like on the iPhone where everyone talks.
Good old FaceTime.
No, and I'm like, this is bizarre. Like I was so nervous because I didn't I'm a face-to-face kind of guy. Yeah, I'm like, let's talk it out.
Let's do 2 weeks.
And I'm on this thing, and I'm getting like questions left, right, and center. I'm like, oh, how do I answer this stuff? I'm not used to this. But we had a good talk, and then a few days later, Mito called me back and said, hey, you want to give it a go? And he's like, let's do a 4-week trial. I'm like, all right, let's do it. So we do 2 weeks. We do San Antonio, he plays great. Then we did Hilton Head, and then we go to New Orleans for the third one, and he hurts his back. So he hurts his back and pulls out, calls me up like in the next week and says, "Look, I'm not ready to go for Wells Fargo, so let's push the trial back again." I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna caddy for you. I'm in. So
You're waiting for him.
So anyway, he calls me, and then we get to Dallas, do the third week, and then we get to Southern Hills and do the fourth week. And a funny thing, like after everything went down, he looked at me and he goes, "Trial over, you good?" I'm like, "Yeah, but let's do it."
Hey Matt, I want to back this up a little bit to Napa when I was working for Troy Merritt, and we were in contention for the first couple days, first 3 days actually, and we got paired with Mito, I want to say, on Saturday, and I knew he had won, he'd won the 3-banger, got through, and he's pretty highly regarded and that kind of stuff. And I'll never forget watching this young Latino hit shots. And Matt, what I mean by that is he hits shots, right? He's got the trajectory. It's here.
Kid is a damn player.
Unbelievable. He gets it left once. He always hits the proper shot, and as a caddy, you're like used to working for guys that hit pretty much stock shot and they can't get it right pins, or vice versa. They take the Sammy safety route and take their 25 or 30 feet. But this kid, I walked off that day going, fuck, this kid is the real deal. So you passed the test, right? You're at Southern Hills, and give us the day by day at Southern Hills. Did you see it coming in the practice rounds?
Bobby, before we even get into that, I do have to just add one little piece of commentary here, because this kid is not only a damn player, but he was a player back in the day to where even when during the PGA Championship, you got Joaquin Niemann on the broadcast going, he was my hero growing up. The kid was only a couple years older than he was.
Right.
He's like, he won everything. So what?
So he won everything.
Do you know what happened between?
And he stopped playing.
So he won everything, and then just decided one day to just
stop playing golf, right?
He's like, I'm gonna have a break.
Wow.
Interesting.
So now we can go into the PGA, because I just want to know, was there anything in particular that kind of stopped him from playing? Because he went from this phenom.
No idea, but I do want to add as well. It's so refreshing because he's such a good guy. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
Well, that interview afterwards, talk about your first time in contention, really, and a major championship, and you have the wherewithal to go, hey, listen, on Wednesday, I was just hoping to make a cut.
Right.
By Saturday, I thought maybe I can win this thing. What a great mindset.
So I knew he was close, because in Dallas, he was hitting the ball so good, but just wasn't scoring. Granted, you had to birdie every freaking hole there. I think he shot 6 or 7 maybe in the first day or something, but and then just eased up after that. But he was hitting the ball perfectly, so I knew something was going to happen.
Coming.
Did I say it was going to be at PGA? Absolutely not. But
I
guess that was the week.
Right. So so this is a momentum build over from Dallas. Early in the week, he's obviously you do pay attention as to how they're hitting it, but you're more course strategy, mapping out your stuff together with your player. What about this hole? What do you like off this tee? Okay, if we drive it in the rough here, where's our bailout? Blah, blah, blah. Pick it up from there and tell me how the early week went in the practice.
So earlier week, pretty much scouting the course, I was like, you drive it well on this course, you're going to do well. And
right.
He was driving it so good.
Right.
So I knew he was going to do good. The greens weren't super fast, so I think that was good for him, because he got the speed dialed in pretty quickly. I think it just suited his eye. It was just one of those ones where it's like he was hitting the driver well, and he was just always going to be in position.
Right.
That gave me confidence on that. That's pretty much it, leading into it.
Right. Tell me about Thursday's round. What you guys shot, where you were.
Well, before we do that, I'll tell you something. Sammy and I, caddies for Cam Smith, we went out and walked the course on the front nine, right? So we walked the front nine. We got on the second hole, and there's Rory, right? We're like, g'day, Rory, how you doing? Anyway, we walk down to the green. He pulls out a wedge or 9-iron, whatever it is. He holes it.
Right.
me and Sammy are like, well, that was pretty good. This guy's going to have a big chance this week. Go to the next hole. We walk up. We're on the green, so he's about to hit in again. He lips out from the center of the fairway.
Are you kidding?
And Sammy and I have just gone, we got no chance. This guy's going to win by 20. He's dialed in.
Right.
So that was my lead up. I'm like,
okay,
going up Rory's first round leader, right? And I'm like, oh,
right, book it.
I'm like, no one's going to get anything close to this guy. But Thursday, you know what? I don't even have a lot of memories on it because that last day was such a grind.
Right.
That the first 3 days are pretty much blank to me.
Are they really? Well, what about this? Do you remember this? Do you remember being in the leader contention all 3 days and Bobby Brown seeing you for breakfast every morning? And what I said to you, this is the fucking way this is supposed to go down. This is the way.
Leave it to Bobby.
I can't tell you how many people came up to me.
This is going down.
How many people came up to me and like, we're pulling for you. Like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
It was the coolest thing, by the way, as a spectator, to watch the broadcast and see how it all went down, and then to see poor Joaquin Neiman be brought into the entire fold. And he's sweating. He goes, I've never realized, he goes, when I'm out there playing and I'm in contention, he goes, I do not feel this nervous. He goes, I'm more nervous than I've ever been in my entire life watching Mito come down the stretch. And by the way, Mito had some errant shots and so forth that took place, but he just always found a way to make it work. It was unbelievable. His ball striking was unreal.
So he even told me that day, he was like, he was a little off and he knew it, but his short game was saving him. Like some of the up and downs, I'm like the one on number 10. I don't know if you remember the one on 10. Like I was down there thinking, oh man, like if we can make 5, this will be good.
Was this the one left of the green that you guys missed left of the green? Oh, that was so dirty.
It really was. I think on the broadcast too, if you haven't gone back and watched it, they're basically saying like, oh, he'll be lucky to make 5. And then all of a sudden he gets up and down.
I looked at it and he looked at me and he's like, I can try and chip it in the bank, but that's really risky. He goes, I think all we got is try and go high and see what happens. I'm like, let's do it.
Execution.
Came off the club face and I'm just like, oh no. I'm like, they might go in.
That was so
unbelievable. But before that, like walking to that tee, we actually we saw Waka on the big screen, like doing the commentary. So that was pretty cool.
That is cool.
Right. And they hang together. And Matt, as you know, it wasn't I call him Jocko because I'm
you're American.
Well, you're on the inside scoop. I'm on the outside, so I'm sitting here going, Joaquin.
yeah. But do you remember this? The whole posse was there, Latinos, right? Sebastian Munoz,
they all waited for him.
That's true. They did in the parking
lot. They were all.
Yeah, they're all.
They're all
good people, man. They're good people.
Scott, personal question for you because I know what my answer would be, but you have the lead swinging into Sunday. You nervous at all?
No, I was good. It was good.
Right.
I actually had a good sleep that night.
Yeah.
I was feeling good.
Yeah.
I didn't really. Obviously, my wife was there. I didn't really talk to her much. In the
game
morning.
face. Game face.
Oh, yeah. So I was just, I didn't want to get stressed by anything, and
right.
Poor Cass, she'd like ask me a question. I'm like, no now.
Yeah, right. At least you're honest.
Yeah.
At least you're honest. So
I felt pretty good.
Take us through that day on Sunday. Did you open up on him early, right?
So I knew he was like. So we got to play good first hole, played second hole. We had a perfect number for 9-9. I had to take it off just a little bit. So he took a little bit off, and he's like, perfect. And it lands on the front edge of the green, and he was like, and I was like, oh boy, come on, man, come on.
Right.
You could kind of tell he didn't quite have it.
Yeah, that was a little bit off. Like, and then the next hole, he'd been driving it well a week. He's in the trees, so we had like this little gap. And I'm like, man, you got to play short. I'm like, he wanted to try and like chase it up. I'm like, you go long on that pin. It's like
no good.
So he leaves it short, perfect little chip. And then the putt just didn't have enough pace and took the edge.
Yeah.
And it was that kind of day, It was like everything was just on the edge.
Shouldn't I have really asked? Did you sense any nerves out of him?
No, absolutely not. I was so
great.
surprised when he said that he was like just so nervous, because I definitely didn't sense it.
Okay.
It didn't show. It didn't show at all.
No,
it showed like he was cold-blooded and he was just
and he was
absolutely dominating
too. Like he never showed me that he had nerves.
And by the way, on 18, like that tee shot, like he just got out of position. It wasn't like it was just a bad drive. It had nothing to do with nerves.
It was a bad.
Can I say something? Can I say something? Away. You know what I thought? You know what I thought there? I thought, these Latinos, man, are shot makers, right? They can keep it at every level. I thought that he was trying to hit that little squeeze.
We were trying to hit the low stinger up the left.
Yeah, the low stinger that Joaquin hit so good because the Latinos have that shot.
2 days before it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he said it in his interview. He's like we had the perfect shot, and he said when he on his downswing he thought he had a 2-iron or something. And some other thought crept in his mind, and he just.
And that's why the kind
he
of
tried to save it.
Yeah.
The funky finish. Obviously, it comes to social media and that kind of stuff, and I might have a fake Twitter account or there's something like that where I just fucking fire right back.
Do you have a burner account there, Bobby?
No speaking English, senor. So.
Yeah, it's sungjm.com.
That would be the best burner account ever.
It's called You So Bad Caddy.
You Bad Caddy.
And so I am reading all this stuff. Why do you hit driver and that kind of stuff? And I'm like, these stupid fucking idiots have never walked into caddy shoes or a player's shoes. So they're probably
the driver's the best club in his bag.
For sure.
He hates his 3-wood.
For sure.
Couldn't get 7-wood up on top.
I get it.
So there was no other club.
Right. There was no other club. And let's all talk about
there's no other club he could have hit.
And if you went back and you did the stats, if you could somehow figure that out, I'm going to go ahead and say, because we played 4 days there and grinded out a solid T40. Pays good. Nobody laughed. 95% of the guys are hitting driver there, right, Scott?
Dude, it's like a 350 run out. Like,
yeah,
it's a big hole.
Yeah,
I mean, we could have done what Faldo said and hit 4-iron off the tee and not get around the corner for a second.
That.
Well, isn't that fucking Faldo though?
That guy. I mean,
it really is. That's unbelievable.
I watched the play last week too when Heath hit driver off the tee and Faldo's and it goes in the bad spot and Faldo's like,
who doesn't hit driver?
Like, come on, man. Everyone hits driver on that hole.
What the hell is he?
Could hit 3-wood. I'm like, if he blocks it right, he's in the lip of the other one.
These manufacturers have put so much technology into that big head that it's like it's an easier club to hit than a 3-wood unless you're trying to work the ball. If you're trying to work the ball, you go with 3-wood. But that driver, that's going to be your safest bet out of the entire bag for the majority of golf holes.
And most of these guys don't like hitting a 3-wood off the tee. I don't know about you, Scott, but a lot of these guys, that's like the least favorite club in the bag is a 3-wood. Yeah. Very rarely do you see a tour player on 1 or 10 teeing off at the start of the round hit a fucking 3-wood or whenever. It just doesn't. It can curve too much one way or the other.
And the faces on them these days are so shallow. It's like, why would you hit that off the tee?
Yeah, why would you? So anyways.
Can I just put it out there, though, that congrats to Mito for hanging in there long as he did on the PG. Because there were more nervy moments throughout the entire round, and he showed that he is one clutch son of a bitch. Like, when you have that over and over and over again in an entire round, in your final round, trying to win a major championship, not even just a PGA Tour event. That was unbelievable. So hats off to him.
It's a major. I mean, he showed a lot of guts.
Hey, Scott, I want to back up a little bit. When he hits that shot, it's in the hazard. You think it might be up, but it's in the hazard.
100%. He hit driver, so 100%. It's because that fairway, there's no give. Like it's the worst designed fairway in friggin' golf.
Well, hang on. So hang on. I do have a theory about this because if you guys, I'll put it this way: JT in the playoff almost hits that hill and goes down into the creek with a 3-wood. Yeah, he just hits it just far enough right to where it actually stayed.
Exactly. So there's a little outcrop there.
I mean, could you imagine what Faldo would say if all of a sudden that went in the creek?
Yeah. Well, he got fucking killed up. He's a douche. He's a douche. Oh man, he's retiring too from the broadcast booth. I'm so sad. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Very happy.
Hey, Scott, another question. Back right pin on Sunday, right? Back right. That tree overhangs. Did you have anything after dropping?
Where he wanted to drop it, he had to hit a huge cut.
Right.
I tried to back up on top.
Yeah.
He had a chance to go over it, hit a straighter shot, longer club.
Yeah. Right.
He didn't like it. So
he didn't like that. So you're rallying behind him, making him committed.
Yeah, he was happy with the big cut, and it was a perfect club, and he didn't cut it, so it went long.
Right. Gotcha. Then chips it.
And then hits a great chip, and that green was so much quicker.
Oh man, it was unbelievable how they changed Sunday, wasn't it?
He actually hit a really good chip shot, and this thing just kept going.
It was in the sun all day. It was just sitting there baking that 18th green.
Yeah, it's up higher. Yeah. It's much higher. There's no tree blocking that green and that kind of stuff.
It's behind me over here.
Scott, we put that up for you.
Is that 18?
It is 18. Well, we got the microphone's kind of blocking the creek. If
you go behind the microphone, there's probably a there that I set on that fairway that hasn't gone off yet.
Yeah. and then he's pinned high right just off the green, and that one never really had a chance.
No, I didn't have a chance because the surrounds that week were really hard to putt through.
Right. Yeah, they were. I remember. Yeah, I remember watching that, and obviously they were going back and forth to the posse, to Joaquin and Abe, and they're getting their body language and that kind of stuff. But naturally, I look at my buddies, I look at the caddies and their reaction, and you didn't really show any emotion. Your head didn't drop.
I like to keep it level.
Good man. Yeah,
hell of
I like to keep it level.
Poker player,
for everything.
Yeah.
I mean, your guy doesn't need to see ups and downs from a caddy. You know what I mean? Like
for sure.
He's your support. Like you're his main support. So I like to keep everything.
Good for you.
Level.
Good for you, Matt.
And the best thing now, counting for Mito, is like something goes wrong, he goes off and talks Spanish, so it's perfect. I just like walk away.
Yeah,
because I got no idea what he's saying.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't say pinchies. What did I tell you when you?
Yeah, I know.
Matt, you're gonna love
I'd already forgotten those words, and even if he says that, I don't care. I'm just gonna walk.
It's so, Matt. I got to tell you, I'm kind of a joker out there and that kind of stuff. But when I found out he took the bag and that kind of stuff, I was super pumped from him because I knew, I'm like, oh, he's just gonna be just fine with this Mito Pereira guy after Scottie Scheffler. There's no doubt about it. And did I not send you a text somewhere that I'm like, hey, congratulations on the new bag. I understand Spanish pretty good. And I said, listen, you're going to be fine until you start hearing this word pinchy. And if you hear pinchy, it means fucking. And if you hear Scott right after that, you probably want to start hitting the phone a little bit. No pinchies, right? No pinchies. No pinchy puto.
Start lining up the next guy.
I don't even listen.
Yeah, good for you. Matt, you get it out. I was telling you the chemistry between a big job of a caddy is for all the people out there is you can't, because and I've said this before, some of my best friends are out there, but I've nicknamed them, a few of us nickname them bad. I'm not going to give them that bad body language, so-and-so. And there's only 2 guys on that team, right? There's not 8 guys sitting in the dugout. There's not another DB come in and that kind of stuff. So our job is to always be smiling, basically, always be focused, always be positive, get in there when you got to give them a little rah talk, pull the reins back when they need a little space, huh, Scott?
That's actually one thing that Scottie used to hate, that he would he'd hit a shot and he'd it wasn't perfect or whatever, and he'd start going off and I would just walk.
Right.
He absolutely hated that.
He did. I got you.
I'm not going to stick around and listen to you.
I got you.
Hey, you don't want to take the abuse. You got to keep your energy up too.
We've got a next shot to go hit. Let's go.
Yeah.
Looking at that 18th hole though, what a great experience, right? Ready for the next one when he gets into contention.
But you know what? It wasn't 18. It was 17.
Yeah.
That putt goes in.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're spot on.
You're right.
And I thought it was in. I had the pin and I took one, it was going up. I took one step. I'm like, oh.
Right.
And it went up and came backwards, and I'm just like, oh, come on.
Wow, I got a great question for you. So if that putt goes in, and you have a 2-shot lead standing on that tee,
it's still hitting driver, but he's going to be.
You're goddamn right. You are. You stay fucking aggressive.
Absolutely, it's the best putt in his bag. I mean, but he just doesn't have any thoughts because he's got a 2-shot lead.
Exactly. Awesome. Yeah, awesome. There's no nerves going into that to where you're like, man, I need to stripe this. It's basically just hit it down the left-hand side, and we're good to go.
Hey, I can hear. Let's wind it down just for a few minutes because I hear a little psycho 5-year-old, 9-year-old fighting in the room next to me, and if they come through this door, I'm gonna Mikey Perez it and disappear for 30 seconds. But let's not get to that point. Now, I'm not gonna say anything to him because they've been posted up all day. It's been a tough day at the Gregory Brown household, that's for sure. But, hey, Scott, I don't want to jump Matt here because he's gonna ask you like this. Tell us your take on the LIV Golf, man.
Ooh,
Come on, give us your honest opinion.
I'm a fan. I know you're not, Bobby, but I'm a fan.
No, I'm not. It's true. Yeah. Go ahead.
Bobby's made this very clear.
Yeah.
We had a good debate on one of the shows.
Sure we did.
I'm happy to join the debate. I'm all for it. I think it's great. I think, like, you look at any other professional sport and tell me what other professional sport doesn't get paid up front.
Thank you. That was this has been my entire.
It's cool.
125 pro golfers on the PGA Tour in the whole world, and they don't get a cent. They have
it's fucked up.
Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, because Bobby, here's the thing.
That's fair.
If Tiger Woods shows up to a goddamn golf tournament and doesn't make a cut, everybody was showing up Thursday through Friday, paying a shit ton of money to see Tiger Woods. That happens with a lot of guys that you don't understand, that it's like they're showing up because their favorite player is XYZ golfer, and they're showing up to the tour event or watching it on TV because they're playing. Like, they should be compensated for that likeness. That's why I have that big take.
How about this one? You get on tour, right? You get on PGA Tour.
Sorry, I get emotional.
Don't make a cut, right?
It's called passion, Matt.
Don't make a cut.
Yeah.
Spend the whole year, didn't make a cut, right?
Right.
You've also just lost your job, but it's cost you $250,000 to do that.
Right.
I mean, what sport does that? As the professional level?
None.
Yeah.
And I even had this, you'll remember this, Bobby, is that I talked about the fact that if this changes anything, I hope it changes the fact that the guys that are actually on the Corn Ferry or the mini tours, that there becomes a developmental league. Because you look at the Major League Baseball, and you see so many guys that have been in the minors for 8 to 10 years that all of a sudden are now all-stars, but they struggled to find themselves and to find their game and to harness it and to become what they are today, right? And that's where I see it.
The PGA Tour doesn't want people making a living on the Corn Ferry Tour.
You well said. They don't want.
It's been well known for a long time.
Yes, and it just goes back to this old-time player that used to make a nice living out there forever. His name was Paul Claxton. Do you remember Paul Claxton?
Wow, that name sounds familiar.
Yes.
The Mad Magazine. He was on the Mad Magazine.
Yeah. He looked like what was the guy? Who was the cover guy on Mad Magazine?
That was him. The Aussie boys used to always call him the Mad Magazine.
Yeah, but that's Scott's exactly right. He hit the nail on the head. They don't want anybody making a comfortable living on the Corn Ferry Tour. Speaking of that, Scott, I don't know if you knew. I was sending Matt's messages. Did you hear about what happened today with the new avenues to the PGA Tour in 2023, Scott?
No, I didn't.
So listen to this. Now there's going to be 30 cards given out during the season, during the regular season on the Corn Ferry Tour. 30 guys are going to get their card. Okay.
How many was it? 25?
25. And then they're going to have 4 playoffs now, right, Matt? For $1.5 million each. That's going to be 30 more cards. Here's the big one. This is all retaliation to, we know what we're talking about right now. Coming out of college, the top 5 the top 5 guys out of Q School, out of Corn Ferry Tour Q School, get status now. The top 5 guys. So you can play your way from college back onto the tour, like a
tour.
Yeah. Yes, 5 guys.
I like how it used to be. You go straight from Q
But you're leaving one out there, Bobby, because they also solidified a deal with the DP World Tour.
Yes, listen to this, Scott.
If you
I heard that one. Just in media rights.
Well, Greg Norman was trying to get all of the players from LIV to get status on the DP World Tour, and that was going to be their avenue to the official World Golf Rankings. So they put in the application there. Well, they got the Asian Tour, but I don't think that is going to be enough. Especially the politics that go into the official World Golf Rankings for them to be able to get that.
Look at the people on the board. I mean, it's a joke.
Oh, it is a joke. It's an absolute
joke. Look at the people
who
vote on it.
Yeah. We forgot something.
Ridiculous.
We forgot something, Matt. But Scott, the top 10 money winners on the European Tour.
Now they're going to get
PGA Tour status now too. So
there's too many people getting cards on the PGA Tour. It's simple as that.
Yeah.
Like there's
Yeah.
guys not playing every week. You shouldn't have that. You should have a
Gotcha.
field where everyone who gets a PGA Tour card is playing.
Gotcha.
The one thing I love about what LIV has done, and people can argue about where the money's coming from and so forth, but it's forced the hand of the PGA Tour. Because
Yeah.
they were, if nobody wants to acknowledge it, they were a monopoly.
Yeah, but
They
what have they
owned
done?
golf.
What have they done? They've strengthened their top players, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've done nothing but strengthen their top.
Well, I'm going to say this. I respect everybody's opinion, and a lot of it does make sense to me. I'm still not fucking watching. I'm still not going to YouTube, and I'm not watching.
Don't
You know
worry,
what?
Bobby. I got you, buddy.
Do yourself a favor and watch it because you actually get to see golf.
That's
Wow,
You get to see golf, and you don't get to see stupid stats about FedEx Cup and what he did last year and how Jack Nicklaus made a putt here 20 years ago.
If Faldo's not commentating, I have no interest, Scott.
Faldo.
true. Did you see?
Wait.
So all of a sudden, everybody's thinking that Faldo retiring is he's heading to LIV, and he's like, "Me and Greg Norman do not get along. Do you guys know the history
Hey,
here?"
you know what I said?
hey,
I
I'm
said
gonna
if
bring up
Faldo
a
goes to
couple
LIV
more.
Golf, I'll never watch him.
I gotta-
watch a single episode.
To bring up a couple more things that I want to talk about. One of them about the LIV. Did you guys read? Listen to this big fibber. Did you guys read about Brooks Koepka's
Oh yeah, he
conference
didn't make
today,
his decision.
where he never even thought about the LIV until the day after the U.S. Open? Oh, you big fibber!
No fucking
And your
chance.
brother, and you big fibber, and your brother went over as your bait on the first one, and your brother's back in the field
I
again
mean,
this week. Oh my god!
Well, he got torched. He got torched,
Yeah.
by the way, by the guys over so the hockey podcast for Barstool is called Spittin' Chicklets, and those
good
guys
dudes. Good
destroyed Brooks Koepka. They're like, we don't know Brooks Koepka, but man, just the way he walks and the way he talks,
Right.
he is an
Right.
who's that?
absolute
Ray Whitney and Ray Whitney and who's the other
Oh
guy?
God, I'm trying to think of the other guy's name. I thought of Whitney first. So I'm like, hang on a second.
Cincinnati or something.
It's oh gosh, he had his head shaved recently. Well,
Yeah,
not
'cause he
the
lost a
entire
bet.
thing. But
Hey,
yeah.
I want to wrap it. Let's wrap it up here in a minute. But I got to tell you guys, did you guys hear what the biggest news in golf was last Sunday?
No, please
The
do share.
number one college player named Pearson Coody from Texas won in his third Korn Ferry Tour event. Do you know whose son was on that winning bag last Sunday?
Oh,
That's
shit.
fucking right. My
Look
oldest
at
son,
that.
Daniel. My oldest son, Daniel. Scottie remembers him because he was predicted at 8 years old when he was skating through the parking lots as being the next Tony Hawk. The stupid son of a bitch decided to follow my footsteps, get
he
caddy, and
messed
did the skateboard. And Pearson Coody got a W. Daniel was the co-pilot. He got the horse seat to the barn safe. And I don't want to give him any props or anything because he came up to the tour this year with Austin Smotherman as the last card after getting 2 wins with Davis Riley. He got bounced for a veteran caddy who happened to be one of my best friends, Lance Bennett. Lance, I'm not mad at you anymore, but I'm kind of sort of mad. And
But Bobby, that's normal.
yeah, that is normal. And
That's
Daniel
Daniel's heart, but
understands
that's
that.
normal.
I think I was more upset that he came with number 50 and they shuffled up to number 22 and his coach, Cam McCormick, and his agent decided you should try a veteran caddy. He hasn't
Oof.
popped a grape since then. But not that I'm talking, giving props to my oldest son, but that is his 4th win in four years on the Korn Ferry Tour. He is now officially the Steven Yeager of caddies on the Korn Ferry
He's
Tour.
almost got
He is, yeah, he's won with Sung Jae, 2 wins with Davis Riley, and now this with Pearson Coody in his 3rd event. So good for Daniel. And
Hang on,
let's have a
Scotty,
little
how many
humor
you
to
got?
I got 5 on the whatever. What do they call it? Corn Ferry.
Corn Ferry,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I got 2, but I got about 8 others on that big tour. Thanks, Dustin. And Eric Axley, the Miracle of San Antonio 2006.
Did you win with Eric actually? Wow.
Yeah, nobody
That's
can
an
believe
achievement. That is a
Yeah.
damn achievement.
I'm gonna give
the
you
best
my
stories
one
ever.
little humor thing because we all know that my man missed the cut at the U.S. Open this year, and I was going to let everybody know if they're watching this and not just listening to it that when a caddy has all weekend to think about what went wrong and that kind of stuff, what does he do to put himself in a good mood? He goes into the merchandise tent and buys
Oh, wow.
t-shirts.
So Bobby's got a
Yeah.
fantastic Lobster
You
2022
saw it, folks.
U.S.
I got a
Open
whole-
T-shirt. It is absolutely fantastic.
I'm too cheap. I'm still got the free one. Birdies.
Well, that's
birdies for
good
St.
vibes.
Jude.
So Matt, that's what caddies do when they miss the major. We get a whopping 20% off for all that shit that's been marked up 120%. And then you go in there and you're like, well, I could spend 300. You know, you always go in like this. I'm going to buy some t-shirts for my kids. And you walk out of there double fisted. I got the coffee cups, the mugs, the bag. You know, you go right by that RLX section because I don't need none of those fucking jackets for $395. That's for damn sure. Even 20% off of that, still $320, $330. So
That's
anyway,
still aggressive.
Yeah. Scottie, thanks for coming on, buddy.
Scottie, absolutely fantastic, man.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for coming on. And thank you for tuning in to Season 2 of the Pull Hook Golf Podcast. Make sure to hit subscribe and go to www.pullhookgolf.com for more information.